Discover the amazing transformation of family bonds revealed. Charging hotel rates for Christmas? Mary Tanner stood at the window of her quaint bed and breakfast, watching thick snowflakes dance in the frigid air. Each flake felt like a tiny reminder of her mounting debts, swirling around her and threatening to bury her. Christmas was just around the corner, and instead of joy, all she felt was dread. Could she really charge hotel rates for the holiday? The thought weighed on her chest like an anchor, dragging her deeper into despair. Her late father had built this place on kindness and warm embraces, not on greed. Yet, with bills piling up and her 10-year-old son Jake blissfully crafting colorful ornaments, the tug-of-war between survival and community spirit lay heavy in her heart. As the first lights of Christmas twinkled to life along the streets, families gathered around fireplaces, reminiscing about cherished moments, a stark contrast to the turmoil churning inside her. Mary's mind wandered to the diner chatter she'd overheard. Charging for Christmas? That's not right. People spoke as if her decision could unravel the fabric of their tight-knit community. She could almost hear her father's disapproving frown, echoing through the halls of her memory. Suddenly, the warmth of the town felt like a distant memory as she drifted into thoughts of helplessness, hoping for miraculously full rooms just to make ends meet. Mom Jake's voice pulled her from her spiraling thoughts. His small hands held out a poorly wrapped gift, his excitement so pure it nearly broke her heart. I made you something. I want to hang it on the Christmas tree. She could see joy written all over his little face, and for a fleeting moment, her worries faded. He had no idea of the storm brewing outside their modest home. Just then Mr. Thompson, their elderly neighbor, shuffled over. The war veteran always had a knack for sensing when someone needed a word of wisdom. He leaned down, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder, his eyes filled with gentleness. Always remember, Mary, we're all in this together. The true spirit of Christmas lies in what we give, not in what we charge. Those words lingered in the air like a warm hug, but they also reminded her of the stark reality of their situation. Could she really risk her survivability for the community she loved? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As whispers turned into arguments, an emergency town meeting was called, bringing everyone together. Familiar faces turned into battlegrounds of differing opinions. Some rallied behind her, while others viewed her as a traitor to the community's values. What had begun as a question of survival had morphed into a battle of hearts and tradition. In that charged room, underlying tensions resurfaced. Mary spied glances of disappointment from family members who questioned her every choice, further complicating the fragile threads of relationships sown throughout their lives. But just when hope seemed to vanish amid the chaos of arguments, the community spontaneously organized a potluck. That night, as Mary entered the hall, the aroma of home-cooked dishes wafted through the air, igniting a spark in her heart. Laughter filled the space, the kind that seemed to melt away tension, reminding her of simpler days when kindness was the currency of their lives. As she watched friends embrace, stories of bygone Christmases wrapped around her like a cozy blanket, reality began to twinkle with possibilities. Could this be the moment that reignites everything she feared? Losing. As plates clinked and joy surged through the room, Mary realized she needed to decide, would she let this warmth blur the lines between her well-being and the community's values? The weight of her choices loomed larger than ever, leaving her to wonder, would this moment bring them together, or would it force her further apart from everything she cherished? The feeling of warmth enveloped Mary as she navigated through the crowd, her heart both heavy and hopeful. Each smile and laughter echoed in her mind, whispering promises of community and connection, just the lifeline she longed for. As she dipped into conversations with neighbors, memories spilled out like the first snowflakes, light, delicate, and filled with childhood dreams. Faces she'd known all her life lit up in familiar ways, reminding her of Sunday picnics and caroling nights in the brisk winter air. "Mary, come try my famous casserole," called out Agnes, her voice as warm as the dish she offered. The familiar clinking of forks and joyous chatter drowned out the earlier arguments. For a second it felt as if the town had set aside their grievances, choosing instead to celebrate the ties that held them together. Mary took a plate, adding food, but her heart felt heavier with each portion. How much could a single potluck really save her? Suddenly, her thoughts were interrupted by the arrival of the mayor, a stout man with a booming laugh that could fill a room. He let out a hearty chuckle as he raised a glass of eggnog. "Friends, let us toast to community, compassion, and the spirit of giving." The crowd cheered, those words striking a deep chord within Mary as she stood there. The glass in her hand felt heavier than the burden swirling inside her. Would this moment of joy be enough to hold her together? And then, like a light bulb igniting in her mind, an idea began to form, a compromise that could keep her BB alive while honoring the heart of their traditions. "I could offer a special one night at normal rates, and the next at half price for those in need," she whispered to Jake, his tiny eyes sparkling with excitement. He nodded vigorously. "Yes. We can help people stay here for Christmas." The innocent energy radiating off him reignited something inside her, a flicker of courage she had almost given up on. As the night danced on with laughter, and people began mingling, Mary observed two families arguing in the corner, their argument escalating. It threatened to break the joyous atmosphere. She made her way over, her heart beating faster with each step. "Hey there, what's going on?" she asked gently, hoping her presence might defuse the tension. "They think we're being selfish wanting to charge for rooms," one mother burst out, her brows knitted tightly. Mary felt her heart sink. It was exactly what she'd feared. Sparking resentment was the last thing she wanted for her BB. What if we all pooled together? We could create a donation fund to help support the BB and allow families to stay at a reduced rate. Mary's heart raced as she turned toward the noise. She could see a small crowd gathering, expressions of shock and disbelief painted across their faces. The commotion seemed to ripple through the room, pulling everyone's attention. "What now?" she thought. "Can we really afford more chaos tonight?" The crowd parted like waves, revealing a familiar face. It was Janet, the town's oldest resident. As Mary approached, the murmur of confusion swelled and shifted. Janet's frail frame was shaking, but her fiery spirit was still visible. "Janet, what's wrong?" Mary called out, rushing to her side. I just heard something terrible," Janet stammered, looking pale. "They're planning to shut down the old library for good. It's where I've spent half my life." Her eyes glimmered with tears. Gasps echoed around the room as others reacted to the news. The library was a treasure in their small town, filled with history, memories, and countless stories that shaped their community. Murmurs of frustration transformed into a rising wave of anger. "But we can't let that happen," someone shouted from the back, igniting a spark of passion in the crowd. Mary glanced at Jake, who mirrored her concern with wide eyes. She realized that their fragile moment of unity could be unraveling right before her. "What if we could help them?" she said, her voice trembling but full of determination. "What if we used our Christmas spirit to save the library too? As if we have time for that." Another voice clashed sharply from the side. "We can barely keep your BB afloat, Mary." Cheeks flushing, Mary felt the weight of every worried gaze settle upon her shoulders again. She stepped forward, wanting to regain control, to reignite hope. "We can make it work. Let us turn this around. While we're supporting each other with the BB, we can also raise funds to fight for the library." Jake looked up at her, his innocent face shining like a beacon. "Mom, if we help everyone stay for Christmas, we can use some of the money to save the library too." A glimmer of agreement flickered through the crowd at the idea of collective action. A Christmas celebration with a purpose, someone said, the room nodding along. The tension shifted, transforming into a shared mission, their earlier arguments fading into the background noise of the evening. "Let us brainstorm," Mary pressed on, her heart still pounding, but now fueled by something deeper. "What if we turned the holiday event into a fundraiser? Imagine families coming together, celebrating community while raising funds to save the library. We could contact local businesses for donations." Her words echoed with a newfound fervor. You could feel the shift in energy as neighbors began discussing possible ideas, plans unfurling like ribbons under a Christmas tree. Everyone was leaning in, sharing their thoughts, their hopes. For Mary, this felt different, not just for her BB or even the library, but for the community's future. They could rise above their differences and embark upon this venture together, weaving their hearts and dreams into something stronger. But just then, a heavy silence fell again as the mayor raised his hand to speak, his expression suddenly serious. "This is a beautiful idea, but we have to face the truth," he said slowly, and a chill ran through the crowd. What truth lay ahead that could shake their newfound resolve? Would this idea bring them together or tear the dream they just stitched apart? Mary held her breath, every heartbeat echoing the uncertainty as she prepared herself for the weight of the mayor's next words. The mayor cleared his throat, the weight of his words palpable in the room. "What we're looking at, the library's shutdown, is just a symptom of a much larger problem," he began, his tone heavy with concern. "Our town is struggling. We're losing businesses, families are leaving, and the support we have always counted on is dwindling." The crowd shifted uncomfortably, the air thick with uncertainty. Mary felt her heart sink further. This wasn't just about the library, it was about survival. "What are you suggesting?" A voice called out, sharp with a mix of fear and anger. "We need to rethink the way we do things around here. The library is vital, but so are the people who live here. If we can't stabilize our community, we might lose everything we love," the mayor responded. "That means we might have to raise hotel rates during the holidays to cover costs and fund community projects." Gasps erupted, and then a chorus of disbelief filled the room. Mary could feel the energy drop, like a candle snuffed in an instant. Jake's face fell, confusion clouding his eyes as he looked back and forth between Mary and the mayor. "But that's not the spirit of Christmas," someone protested. "How are families supposed to afford that?" "That's exactly my point," the mayor replied, his voice steady. "If we don't align ourselves financially, we can't fight to keep the library or any of our local treasures alive. We have to find a way to balance our needs with our wants." Mary's mind raced. She'd just begun to see hope. Now it felt like it was slipping away. Could they really turn the tide? She stood there caught in the tension, the faces around her reflecting the same hopelessness she felt inside. "Wait!" A voice broke through, this time from Ms. Thompson, the owner of the bakery down the street. "What if the hotel rates are just one part of the solution? We can control that. What if we created an event that is so special, so unique, that it attracts people willing to pay for the experience? A celebration that honors our town and its spirit?" There was a glimmer of excitement in the air again as first one, then others began nodding along. The whispers grew louder, bouncing from person to person. "Maybe we could create a Christmas market," someone shouted. "Vendors, ice skating, tree lighting, and a storytelling night at the library," Janet chimed in, her earlier fear momentarily forgotten. "That would draw everyone back." Mary could feel the weight of the discussions melting a little. This was the spark they needed, a beacon cutting through their doubt. If they offered an enticing experience, perhaps families would come to participate, and also support the very things that mattered to them: the library, the BB, the community. Her heart quickened. "Exactly. We could have a holiday festival where each event can charge a small fee, funneling directly to the library. It's not just about making money, it's about creating connections. We need to remind everyone why we love this town." The energy surged again, igniting enthusiasm that felt like warm cider on a cold winter's night. Ideas poured out like snowflakes falling from the sky. But just as hope flowered amidst the crowd, a realization washed over Mary: they would need every family working together more than ever. The pressure would be immense, and she feared the burden would reveal rifts they had yet to see. "Are we really ready for this?" she wondered aloud, uncertainty creeping back in. "What if we fail?" Jake squeezed her hand, his unwavering trust grounding her. "We won't. We have each other, Mom. That's how this town works. We rise together." As the energy began to build once more, Mary took a deep breath. She could feel the community coming alive, but a flicker of anxiety still danced in her chest. Could they truly come together? Or was this just wishful thinking? The mayor's watchful gaze seemed to signal that urgency was essential now. "Let's set a plan into motion. We'll meet tomorrow to lay the foundation." Mary nodded, feeling a tide of determination swell within her. "Then together we can do this. We must." But as she scanned the room, she couldn't shake the feeling that bigger storms were coming for them, storms that would test not only their resolve to save the library, but also the very bonds that kept their community together. What awaited them in the light of day? Would they find strength? Or would the pressure of expectations crack the fragile unity they had just begun to build? The next morning dawned with a crispness that seemed to invigorate the town. Mary stood at her kitchen window, the sun filtering through the frost on the glass, illuminating the remnants of last night's fervent meeting. The conversations echoed in her mind, stirring a mixture of excitement and apprehension. "Mom, can we go to the bakery?" Jake's voice pulled her from her thoughts. His face radiated a youthful enthusiasm, a stark contrast to the weight settling on her heart. "Sure, let us go," Mary replied, forcing a smile. The promise of pastries had a way of making everything feel a bit better. After all, as they walked to Miss Thompson's bakery, Mary noticed the streets were beginning to fill with life. Neighbors greeted each other with cautious smiles, and families were starting to share the morning light together. It was a small reminder of the strength that came from unity, even if it felt fragile. The smell of fresh bread and sweet cinnamon hit them like a warm hug as they pushed open the door of the bakery. Inside, Miss Thompson was busy arranging a platter of pastries, her smile brightening the room. "Morning, you two. I hope you're ready for a big day ahead." Mary's stomach turned slightly. "We're starting to make plans for the festival," she said, forcing the words out. "Absolutely. I've been thinking about how I can contribute. A holiday cookie decorating station, perhaps? Kids love that sort of thing," she said, her eyes sparkling with hope. "Great idea," exclaimed Jake, already envisioning a sugar rush. Mary nodded, but beneath her surface cheer, she felt an emerging stream of doubt. What if all this excitement fell apart? As they chatted, more townsfolk trickled in, each sharing a piece of their thoughts about the festival. Ideas were flying around like confetti, a pie-eating contest, caroling, even a local talent show. It all felt vibrant and alive. Yet with each new proposal, that kernel of anxiety in Mary's chest grew. "Mom, can I help with something?" Jake broke through her thoughts, excitement brimming in his voice. "Of course, honey. What do you want to do?" "Maybe I could help with building the ice rink," he said, his eyes shining. "I know how to make one." A surge of pride and worry washed over Mary. "You think so? What if it's a disaster?" "Then we'll fix it," Jake said matter-of-factly. "We've got to try, right?" "Right," she breathed, taken by surprise at her son's confidence. Just then, a familiar voice emerged from the back. "Mary, we need to talk." It was Janet. She rushed over, her expression serious. "The meeting is at noon, and we need to discuss how we'll organize this festival properly." Mary felt her pulse quicken. "Are we ready for that?" "Only one way to find out, huh?" Janet shrugged. "We're in this together, remember?" Doubt crept back in as they ventured out of the bakery. People were busy preparing for the day, and there was a sense of urgency in the air that made her stomach twist. As she walked with Jake, weaving back to their house, she processed the weight of community pressures. What if expectations collided with reality? When Jake suddenly stopped, pointing toward a small group gathered in front of the town hall, her heart raced. "What is happening?" Mary approached, drawn by the murmurs. As she got closer, she saw faces stricken with concern. The mayor stood at the forefront, his brow furrowed. The energy shifted, tension palpable in the air again. What could this mean? Mary whispered to Jake, anxiety gnawing at her. "Just wait, Mom," he replied, squeezing her hand. Nobody was prepared for what the mayor was about to say, and at that moment, a chill raced down her spine. Would this news reaffirm their hope, or shatter it further? The room went silent, anticipation hanging like a heavy cloud. What awaited them next? The mayor cleared his throat, and the crowd leaned in closer, their expressions tense. "I know you're all excited about the upcoming festival. However, I need to share something important. Due to unforeseen circumstances, we may not have the funds to support this year's event as we planned." His voice faltered slightly, but the weight of his words carried through the hushed crowd that Mary's heart sank. The hopeful chatter that had filled the air moments ago was replaced by gasps and murmurs of disbelief. She exchanged worried glances with Jake, who looked puzzled, trying to understand the sudden shift. "Unforeseen circumstances?" Someone shouted from the crowd, their frustration palpable. "What does that mean for us?" "Right now," the mayor continued, "we're faced with increased costs for permits and supplies. I'm not saying we will cancel the festival entirely, but I need everyone's help to figure this out." The mayor's earnestness cut through the tension. But the reality of the situation pressed heavily on Mary like a weight she couldn't shake. What if we do a fundraiser? Janet's voice broke through the crowd like a beacon. We can have bake sales, raffles, anything to raise the money we need. Yeah, we should pool our resources, called another neighbor. Mary felt a flicker of hope at Janet's suggestion. The crowd murmured in agreement, conversation swirling around her. Maybe they could still make it work. But then a sinking feeling returned. What if it wasn't enough? Jake, she said softly, embracing him tightly, we need to be brave. This is where our community will show its true colors. She glanced at the concerned faces around her, families supporting families. There was a beauty in their willingness to rally together, even if they all faced differing degrees of trepidation. Mom, what if people don't want to help? Jake's innocent question gnawed at her. What if it fails? Sometimes the best things come from trying, she reassured him, doing her best to mask her own doubts. People care about this town, about each other. We're in this together. The mayor nodded, encouraged by the crowd's response. Let us meet later tonight to discuss the specifics and move forward. We can't let our fears dictate our actions. We'll face this head-on. As people began to disperse, a sense of unity began to blossom amidst the confusion. Families lingered, speaking in hushed tones, some already brainstorming ideas for fundraisers. Mary felt the spark of hope start to flicker in her chest, ignited by the very real possibility that they could come together. Walking back home, Jake chatted animatedly about potential fundraisers. The more he spoke, the more her heart swelled. We can have a talent show. I'll play my guitar. That's a fantastic idea, she exclaimed, her spirit lifting. And remember that time you did that magic show at school? Yeah, I could wait. What about all those people? Mom, what if they don't want to come? What if they do? She smiled, savoring the sweet taste of hope as they neared home. Their conversation shifted towards the exciting possibilities. Yet, Mary's mind was a tangled mess of what-ifs. She did her best to keep her fears at bay, but the reality of fundraising efforts loomed. That evening, Mary found herself restless. She noticed the sunset painting the sky with hues of orange and pink. Perhaps the beauty in life was worth fighting for, just like the festival. Maybe if they all believed, truly believed, something beautiful could come from this chaos. Gathering her thoughts, she began jotting down ideas, drawing inspiration from what Jake had suggested. They had to believe. But as she looked at her notes, she realized that action outweighed mere wishes. When the night of the meeting arrived, the mood shifted again as she entered the community center filled with a throng of familiar faces. Each one harbored hopes and fears. Would these individuals not only voice their concerns, but also unite in crafting a solution? As the conversation started, a knock reverberated from the door, and Mary's breath hitched. A stranger stood there, a young woman with bright eyes and a determined expression. I heard about what's happening in town, she declared boldly, causing heads to turn. And I think I might have an idea that could change everything. The air grew still around Mary. What could this newcomer possibly bring to their trying situation? Mary's heart raced as the young woman stepped inside. She was slight, with curly hair that danced around her face as she spoke, but her presence radiated strength. It was as if she carried a solution tucked into her pocket. The murmurs in the room turned into a hush, each person leaning slightly forward, eager for her to continue. What's your name? The mayor asked, breaking the silence. Ellie, she replied confidently. I've heard about the troubles facing the festival. I was at last year's event and saw how much it meant to everyone. I think I can help. Mary's curiosity piqued. How? She couldn't help but ask, her hope catching in her throat. Ellie took a breath, her eyes sparkling with excitement. I work with a nonprofit that specializes in community engagement. We're experts in helping towns like yours fundraise and revitalize events. We've done it in other places, and I think we could do the same here. The room erupted into conversation. Some faces lit up at the prospect, others remained skeptical. Mary leaned closer, wanting to absorb every word. What would you suggest? She urged. Ellie pulled out a folder filled with papers marked with bright colors and bold letters. The first step is to ignite excitement. This town loves its festival, and I'm sure there are countless talents waiting to be showcased. Why not combine multiple fundraising ideas? A talent show, bake sales, an outdoor market, and a charity run can all happen this season. We can set goals and create incentives to keep everyone motivated. The energy in the room shifted. The excitement was tangible as neighbors began bouncing ideas off one another. Mary felt her heart swell with warmth. This could be it. This was the push they needed. And we can reach out to local businesses for sponsorships, Ellie continued, even have an online crowdfunding campaign. It'll unify not just those in the room, but everyone in town. A voice from the back chimed in. And we can ask the school to get involved. The kids love this festival. Yes, yes, Mary exclaimed, her enthusiasm contagious as she joined the chorus of agreement. Let us involve everyone and turn this into something unforgettable. Ellie relaxed a bit, feeling the fire of their collective imagination. Exactly. Community engagement is what makes these events thrive. We'll need to promote everything on social media and spread the word like wildfire. Jake, who had been silent, suddenly shouted, and I'll make flyers. Can I, Mom? His eyes sparkled, and Mary felt her heart race at his eagerness. Yes, let us get started. She laughed, ruffling his hair. It felt like their worries were slowly lifting, replaced with a sense of purpose. As Mary looked around, she noticed more smiles and eager expressions surfacing throughout the crowd. The hope she had only glimpsed earlier was now blooming into a vibrant garden of possibilities. They could do this together. But just when the atmosphere started to shine brightly, Ellie added a caveat. But I'll need your help to rally everyone together and create excitement. It won't work unless we all commit to making it happen. The energy shifted slightly. Mary could see uncertainties taking form again in their neighbors' faces. It was a challenge laced with vulnerability, a reminder of the risks involved. Of course we all want this, said the mayor, his voice firm. But it's going to require commitment from each of us, and that's where it gets tricky. The room fell silent again, the weight of the journey ahead dawning on them. It's scary, Mary said slowly as she stepped forward, her heart beating faster. But isn't it also exciting? She felt the need to reassure, to anchor them with hope. If we all believe in each other, believe in this town, we can do anything we set our minds to. We can turn this challenge into something beautiful. But inside, a whisper of doubt echoed, mixing with her hope. Would they truly rally together when times got tough? The question hung heavily in the air, leaving a bittersweet taste. Would they unite to fuel this change, or would fear splinter their efforts before they began? As people began to discuss their next steps, wider voices spoke out, awakening fierce determination among them. Just then, Mary's phone buzzed in her pocket. A message flickered on the screen, and her heart skipped a beat at the first line. Have you heard? There are rumors that a lucrative investor is coming to town. In that moment, dawn broke with potential, yet shadows loomed. What could this mean for them? Was it the breakthrough they needed? Or would it upend everything they had hoped for? Mary stared at her phone, the words swimming in her mind. A lucrative investor? Her heart thudded, a mixture of excitement and apprehension. This could change everything. She glanced up at Ellie, who was actively discussing plans with a few of the attendees, their faces full of hope. Could an investor help them bring the festival back to life, or would it complicate what they were trying to achieve? The thought of the festival hanging in the balance made her stomach twist. Every single person in that room understood the importance of the event, and each one had their reasons for wanting to see it thrive. But the idea of outside influence could jolt their plans in unexpected directions. Mary, Ellie's voice cut through her thoughts. Are you okay? Mary forced a smile, clutching her phone tighter. Yeah, just got a message. Did you say something about tapping into local businesses? We might need them more than ever if things take a turn. Ellie's brow furrowed slightly, but she nodded. Yes, absolutely. I think starting small with local support can help us build a foundation, especially if we pull in other resources later. Right? Mary contemplated aloud, her mind racing. Could they keep control of their vision, while potentially accommodating an investor's interests? Wasn't this what they were trying to avoid, outsiders influencing decisions about their own community? As the evening rolled on, excitement filled the room, but the undertow of uncertainty remained. Conversations buzzed, with people suggesting who could host food stalls, which local bands might perform, and what playful competitions could ensue. Mary noticed Jake mingling with the other kids, enthusiasm evident as he animatedly described his flyer ideas. His laughter rang through the hall. She felt a momentary pang of gratitude. This was what they fought so hard for. But still, her brows drew in as she continued to contemplate the implications of that cryptic message. The mayor stood up again, trying to gather the crowd's attention. Okay, everyone. Let us keep our focus on our plan. Remember, it's about community and partnership. We need everyone's input. With those words, Mary felt a flicker inside her. They were all on the same page, and the weight of their worries slowly lifted. To keep the momentum going, each voice became instrumental. As she participated in brainstorming, her own worries began to dissipate, at least for the moment. Later, as the meeting wrapped up, Mary pulled Ellie aside. I really believe in this. I just can't shake the feeling about that investor. If they get involved, would they want a say in how everything is run? It could change our festival from celebrating our community to something entirely different. Ellie looked thoughtful. I understand that fear, Mary. And honestly, it's a valid concern. But what if we see this as an opportunity? If they come, we can set clear expectations and boundaries right from the start. We need to ensure the festival reflects our town's spirit, no matter their involvement. Nodding, Mary felt a wave of relief wash over her. Yes, you're right. The fear of the unknown began to transform into something that felt manageable. We'll need to talk about it with everyone, maybe even discuss the pros and cons before jumping to conclusions. Exactly. Ellie grinned, the passion in her eyes illuminating the path forward. And I can help facilitate meetings to ensure all voices are heard. As dawn approached, Mary felt lighter, as if the night's uncertainties were melting away with the morning sun. There was still much to work out and a myriad of decisions to make, but they had each other. Together they'd face whatever challenges lay ahead. Yet, as she walked out of the town hall, she wondered if maybe before they could tackle the festival, they needed to face the arrival of that investor first. What kind of changes would this investor truly bring? Would they see the value in the heart of the festival or simply number crunch based on profit? As those questions swirled in her mind, Mary felt a new determination rise within her. They showcase their community spirit, no matter what outside forces came into play. But could they balance unity and progress with the potential for disruption? With her heart racing against an uncertain horizon, she sensed another challenge ahead. Would they be ready when the investor arrived, bringing with them the weight of decisions that could reshape everything they cherished? She couldn't help but feel the urgency. Answers were needed, and quickly. The next morning, Mary brewed her coffee, letting the rich aroma fill the kitchen. Tendrils of steam curled up as she poured the dark liquid into her favorite mug, the one with a faded logo from the last festival. She gazed out the window, watching as the sun streaked through the trees. It highlighted the various shades of green. The colors reminded her that the festival was about celebrating life, togetherness, and hope. But the shadows of yesterday's meeting loomed large in her mind. Jake bounded into the kitchen, his usual energetic self, holding up a piece of paper. Look what I drew for the festival poster. Mary smiled, the sight of his enthusiasm lighting a spark within her. The paper was colorful, filled with sketches of rides, food trucks, and a big stage where local bands could play. Kids ran around with balloons floating in the sky above them. This is amazing, Jake. You've captured the spirit perfectly, she praised, genuinely proud. His eyes brightened as he looked up at her. Do you think everyone will love it? Absolutely. You've created something special, Mary replied, ruffling his hair. But as his laughter filled the air, a part of her still grappled with uncertainty. Would everyone love it if those plans changed? Later that day, Mary met with Ellie and a few other key organizers at the local cafe. They settled into a corner booth, the clinking of glasses and the hum of chatter around them forming a backdrop for their important discussion. Okay, let us dive in, Ellie said, her expression serious yet optimistic. We have to address the investor. It's crucial we start laying out our expectations. Everyone needs to be on board with this. The group nodded, each person shifting in their seats, the weight of the topic hanging heavy in the air. Mary's stomach churned again. This conversation could steer everything they treasured off course. What do you think the investor is looking for? One of the others asked, casting wary glances around the table. Money, obviously, Ellie replied, her tone matter of fact. But I suspect they want impact too. We have to ensure our vision is aligned with theirs from the very start. We can't lose sight of what this festival means to our community. Mary's heart raced. But what if their idea of impact is just a flashy carnival with corporate sponsors? That could strip away everything we're trying to create. Ellie nodded, understanding the depth of Mary's concern. We can set the tone. If we stand united as a team, I believe we can keep our core values intact while securing their support. As they bounced ideas around, Mary felt her anxiety lift. They spoke about drafting a letter, explicitly outlining their goals and principles. Each member contributed, each voice blending into a symphony of determination. But just then the door swung open, and a familiar face stepped inside the mayor's aide. He scanned the room before his eyes landed on their table. He approached, a grin across his features. "Hey folks, I just learned from the mayor that the investor may want to meet soon," he said, his words slicing through the growing momentum of their discussion. "And they're interested in hearing community opinions. So let us prepare for that." A mix of excitement and apprehension flickered through Mary's veins. This could be the turning point they needed, but it could also lead to disaster. As the words settled in, Mary felt a lump rise in her throat. We need to make our voices heard. It's our festival. Our community. With renewed energy, they each nodded in agreement, rallying around the mission ahead. Passion surged within Mary. The investor might hold the key to their success, but it would take fierce commitment from everyone to protect the heart of the festival. As they wrapped up, Mary walked out into the fresh air, her phone buzzing in her pocket. She pulled it out and stared at the new message lighting up the screen. "Are you ready for the upcoming changes? Can't wait to discuss over dinner." A chill ran down her spine. Was it the investor reaching out or something more immediate? And what did it all mean for their festival? Mary inhaled deeply as she read the message again, a mix of apprehension and anticipation flooding her senses. Would they face the potential fallout of these decisions together? Or would cracks begin to form in their carefully built foundation? The stakes had just risen, and they needed a plan. With determination fueling her steps, she moved forward, ready to tackle whatever challenges lay ahead. But deep down, she couldn't shake the fear of what might unfold when they actually met the investor face to face. Would they find common ground? Or would they stand divided? Mary Tanner stood outside the town hall, a tangible mix of excitement and trepidation swirling within her as the day of the festival meeting arrived. The sun sparkled against the fresh snow that blanketed the ground, glistening like the hope she clung to for her community. She could almost hear the echoes of laughter and joy that she envisioned filling the air during the festival, yet the looming shadow of that investor cast a doubt that refused to fade. As neighbors filtered in, they greeted each other with cautious optimism. Jake ran ahead, joining a group of kids who were already brainstorming ideas for games. Seeing his enthusiasm melted Mary's heart, reminding her why they were fighting so hard for their community. This festival could be more than just a celebration. It could be a beacon of unity amid uncertainty. As she took her place at the head of the gathering, Mary's gaze swept over the crowd. Face after familiar face appeared hopeful yet wary. They had all come together, united by their love for the town and the importance of the upcoming festival, but that sense of togetherness was now intertwined with the pressure of the investor's impending arrival. The mayor cleared his throat, introducing the meeting with a blend of warmth and seriousness. "Let us focus on our vision. This festival belongs to us as a community. We will present what we want, not what someone else expects." The murmurs of agreement filled the room, infusing Mary with a sense of determination. Each person had a voice, and together they could cultivate something extraordinary. They pressed on, discussing various ideas from local talent showcases to festive markets. Everything had to shine with the spirit of their town. Finally, Mary turned to Ellie, who had as much fire in her belly as anyone. "What if we shared our vision clearly with the investor when they arrive?" she proposed. "We need to outline that this festival symbolizes our community, its history, its heart, and its resilience. We are not just a business model." Ellie nodded earnestly, her eyes lighting up. "Yes, we invite them to witness our spirit, to feel our energy. If they see it firsthand, they can't objectify us as just another economic opportunity." As they brainstormed their presentation, Mary's heart swelled with pride. This was, after all, about more than revenue. It was about woven connections and shared stories, the very fabric of their lives. Jake's laughter rang out in the background, further igniting her resolve. This wasn't just for her. It was for him and the generations to come. When the day of the investor's arrival finally came, Mary felt her chest tighten with anticipation. The community center buzzed with excitement, every chair filled with familiar faces ready to exhibit their plans passionately. Tension hung in the air like mist, thick with the weight of hope, as the investor walked into the room confident and wearing a crisp suit. Mary's resolve solidified. She stood up, her voice steady despite the nerves fluttering inside her. "Thank you for coming. Before we discuss numbers, we want to show you why this festival matters to our community." Her heart raced as she launched into vivid descriptions of their ideas, igniting the collective spirit of everyone present. Jake interjected, sharing his drawing of the festival logo along with his ideas for attractions, his innocence and passion adding authenticity to their cause. The room filled with laughter and encouragement. One by one, neighbors voiced their own stories, experiences tied to the festival that underlined their commitment to keeping their traditions alive. As Mary spoke, she noticed the investor's expression shift from skepticism to intrigue. They listened intently, genuinely captivated by the spirit that was woven through the shared stories. The tension that once loomed began to dissolve, replaced by flickers of understanding as the rich tapestry of the town unfolded before them. When Mary finished, she took a deep breath. The silence felt heavier than ever. Then the investor spoke up, their tone deliberate and measured. "I understand where you're coming from, and I admire your passion. I believe we can reach a deal that respects your vision, while also allowing us to find mutual benefits." Cheers erupted in the room, relief sweeping through like a warm breeze. Mary could feel the community's joy, hearts lifting and intertwining in that moment. Fear slipped away as they could finally see the light at the end of the tunnel. As the details were settled, rates determined, support promised, the community stood together in celebration. They had achieved what many thought impossible. They forged connections between their indomitable spirit and the outside world. Later that evening, as Mary looked out her window, she breathed in the cool air, satisfaction filling her chest. Jake came up to her, beaming. "Mom, we really did it." "Yes, we did," she replied, enveloping him in a hug. "This is only the beginning. Together we showed them what Christmas spirit truly means." Mary felt an overwhelming sense of hope bubbling to the surface. Their festival would not only revive the library, but also ignite their community spirit anew, allowing new traditions to form. They had turned a potential calamity into triumph, proving that even against the odds, love and unity would shine the brightest. Hope soared through her heart as she surrendered to the calm of that moment, the world outside glistening with new possibilities. The power of community, this was the heart of why they fought. Now, hand in hand, they would carry that spirit forward always. As Mary turned to face the glow of the Christmas lights adorning her BB, she felt the urge to share this moment far and wide. So I urge you now. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories full of hope and transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and spread the power of community. Comment your reactions and feelings about this hopeful ending. And please share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to feel inspired by this message. This is the moment to show your support for our journey. Don't wait not even one more second to share and be part of this beautiful community.